Hey everybody, it's Curtis back in the gym. Today I wanted to give you a quick rundown on how to set up the GOAT for a couple of different movements. Now it's been requested a couple times through direct messaging. People will hit me up and ask, hey, how do you get a leg extension to work really well with the GOAT attachment? How do you get a curl to work? And I always give the same advice, and I always have to describe, basically you have to line up, the angle of the joint that's moving with the hub, and always what it comes into is one of these where I'm having to take a short video, draw a picture, take a lot of time to explain, and I've always wanted to do this video. I had nothing on the docket, and so here we are. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you guys how to set up the greatest of all time attachment from Stray Dog Strength, which is still, in my opinion, a very awesome attachment. And I'm gonna show you how to set up a leg extension. This does apply to any movement, so if you wanted to apply this to a bicep curl, the same rules apply in how you would set it up. So the first thing to keep in mind is you're gonna need a couple pins, you're gonna need a couple rollers, and you're going to need, for me, I like to use a bench, as well as all of the pins that go with that. I am using these Vex pins from Surplus Strength. The reason I like these so much is, one, they're made out of stainless steel. Two, it supports a small company. They're high quality, and then the magnetic hold on them is like the perfect blend of really good hold, but also really easy to move around. The first thing I tend to do with this is get the bench down. And the reason that we want to put the bench down first is because we want to figure out at what height the GOAT attachment actually needs to be. Now for this, it's going to vary largely depending on the height of your bench. What I tend to do is put the bench up into the very first of the incline settings, which for my bench is right at 15 degrees. And then what you're going to do is you're going to measure the height that your knees stick over the side. So here we are, we're gonna sit on the bench, keeping in mind that you're gonna put a roller underneath. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to line up the joint that's going to be doing the movement. So with this, with a leg extension, I'm going to be extending my legs, and the plane of rotation is at the side of the kneecap. And the whole idea is that you wanna line up your GOAT attachment where the arm moves with both the center of your kneecap as it comes this way, as well as the height of your kneecap. And the reason that you want that is so that as you go through the plane of rotation, that is following your legs perfectly. Now, I set this up earlier last week and did leg extensions, but you can see here where a foam pad would basically be coming straight off, and I would be doing those leg extension, and it's pretty close. So add in the roller. And as you can see, when I add in the roller, at this point in time, my knee is actually significantly higher than that angle. So I need to move this down by 1. And now we can see, if we look at this from the side, and I'll give you guys a better camera view in just a moment, but if we look at it from the side, my knee is at the appropriate height as well as the appropriate angle. So basically, if you were to look at it from a top-down view, my knee is perfectly in line with the bolt on the plane of rotation. And if you look at it from the side, the height is basically through the middle of my knee, so that it is, again, through that same plane of rotation. The next step is going to be getting your second roller installed. And I honestly cannot remember at what height I prefer my roller. But basically what I'm looking for with mine is, as I'm in position, I want it to be right at my feet. I like to basically have it right on the top of my foot, so that as I'm doing the movement, it's not up on my calves, but it's also not on my toes. I just like it there. That's just my preference. From here, we're going to be able to figure out where we're going to put the loading pin, which is the next step. So here we have the loading pin. Something to keep in mind with the loading pin is, for me, it would make the most sense to put it towards the bottom. But the problem with my rack setup is that I have a cross member that comes across right here, and it's set up so low to the ground that I wouldn't be able to load 45s. So I'm gonna put it one above so that I can still put plates on this. And I'm gonna basically throw nuts on all of the open bolts. Now, there's a couple different companies that make these nuts. This is the one from Mutant Metals. It's basically just a 3D printed holder of a nut. These ones are from Surplus Strength, again 3D printed. I'm guessing that everything here is just using standard like PLA plastics, which is neither amazing nor bad. It just kind of is what it is. I would like to see maybe some nylon. I think nylon would be the right mix of durability, but it might be a little bit of a pain in the butt to print with. But hey, if you 3D print these things, maybe try some nylon. And then you just want to put it through like that last little test just to make sure that everything's in the right position. So again, I like to sit back on the bench, make sure that my knee, again, is in line from the top down, in line from the front. And as we go through this movement, I'm able to get that nice leg extension, and it's just a really nice, like nothing's messed up with the line. Now, some ways that it can be messed up is, let's say that I'm gonna elevate my knees a little bit. This is really common when you see that when the angles are all messed up. The foot roller at the bottom will tend to roll, and that's because if we look at this, as my leg is coming down, it doesn't actually match the angle of this lever arm, and as a result, the length of this lever and the length of this lever are different, which causes the roller to roll up to the toes of my feet. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this exact same setup, I'm gonna set it up for hamstring curl. So obviously with hamstring curls, I no longer need the bench. Some other things to note is that with a standing hamstring curl, which is what I'm gonna be setting up, if we were to look at it, if I use the exact same setup I just used for leg extension, the roller goes down my calf as I perform the movement. And the reason is because the plane of rotation should be at my knee. The axis of rotation, that's the word. The axis of rotation should be at my knee, but instead of being at my knee, it's way up here by my mid-thigh. So what we need to do is one of two different things. We either need to elevate my feet so that it puts my knee closer to this axis of rotation, or I need to lower the goat so that the goat is closer to my knee. What I'll tell you from experience is that when the unit is already this low to the ground, it's gonna be a combination of the two. So what I'm gonna do is, with all the weight unloaded, move it down by just a little bit, throw the pin back in, and then we're going to elevate. Now, I just happen to have this cool new piece from Eccentric that I'm hoping works perfectly for this, which it almost does. Just gonna turn it around. But now as we look at it from the side, my knee is at the same height or pretty close to the same height as this axis of rotation, and I can line it up nicely. And as a result, as I perform the movement, now the levers of my leg and the levers of the goat are basically lined up, and they remain the same relative to each other, allowing for a nice clean movement without any of the roller going up and down my calf, and it just messes up everything. So that's it for today's video. I just wanted to give a quick down and dirty how I use the goat to do both the leg extension and the standing leg curl. I still think that the goat is a super awesome piece of equipment, especially if you want something that breaks down into a very compact space and it uses things that are useful for other things in the gym. Other units like the Bulletproof Isolator are amazing units, but the one Achilles heel that they have is that it takes up tons and tons of space, and the parts only work within the ecosystem, that hex port adapter that they have. And as a result, you have to end up storing all this stuff that's only usable with the isolator. Now the isolator, like I said, is an awesome piece of equipment. I do have one. I have it over at work right now. It gets used by all the people I work with in the mornings at their gym. I just personally, for my space, prefer the goat. But that's been it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment down below. Please check out my website below. It's got all my affiliate links there. If you shop, sometimes you get a discount, but all the times that you shop using my affiliate links, I get a really small cut of that commission, which allows me to fund this channel. But like I said, That's been it for this video. I'll see you guys next week.